90-Day Fiancé star Jasmine Pineda has now filed rape charges against Gino Palazzolo and is taking him to court. Gino claimed, "I am not guilty. Jasmine has falsely accused me." In the wake of this case, the court ordered Jasmine to undergo a DNA test. After that, Jasmine admitted, yes, it was a false case. The courtroom was buzzing with tension as cameras from various media outlets filled every corner. Fans of 90-Day Fiancé and curious onlookers alike were eager to witness the next chapter in the tumultuous saga of Jasmine Pineda and Gino Palazzolo. The atmosphere was electric, a mix of anticipation, judgment, and sheer disbelief. Jasmine sat at the plaintiff's table, her hands trembling slightly as she fiddled with the strap of her purse. Across the room, Gino sat with a calm, almost detached expression, though his eyes betrayed a flicker of anger. The past months had been a whirlwind of accusations, media frenzy, and sleepless nights. What had started as a passionate romance had spiraled into one of the most shocking legal battles in reality TV history. The judge entered, and the room fell silent. "This court is now in session," the judge declared, her gavel echoing through the chamber. "We are here to hear the case of Jasmine Pineda versus Gino Palazzolo. Ms. Pineda, you have filed charges against the defendant, claiming sexual assault. Are you prepared to proceed?" Jasmine nodded, her voice steady but soft. "Yes, Your Honor." Gino's lawyer immediately stood. "Your Honor, my client maintains his innocence. These allegations are entirely false, and we have evidence to suggest that Ms. Pineda's claims are fabricated." The courtroom murmured. The tension was palpable. Reporters scribbled furiously, capturing every detail for the evening headlines. Over the next hour, both sides presented their arguments. Jasmine recounted her version of events with meticulous detail, painting a picture of fear and betrayal. Gino, on the other hand, sat quietly, his jaw tight, occasionally exchanging notes with his attorney. Then came the turning point, the DNA test. The judge ordered that Jasmine undergo the test to corroborate her claims. The results, the judge explained, would be pivotal in determining the truth. The courtroom was silent as the lab technician handed the sealed envelope to the bailiff, who in turn handed it to the judge. With a heavy sigh, the judge opened the envelope and read aloud. "The DNA test results are inconclusive, showing no evidence to support the allegations as presented." A hush fell over the courtroom. Jasmine's eyes widened, and she bit her lip, trying to maintain her composure. Gino's eyes softened, a mix of relief and vindication washing over him. The judge looked directly at Jasmine. "Ms. Pineda, given these results and the evidence presented, do you wish to make a statement?" Jasmine swallowed hard. For months, her anger and frustration had fueled her every move. But now, standing in front of the world, she felt the weight of her choices pressed down on her chest. The cameras captured her every movement, every flicker of emotion. She began, her voice quivering. "I need to be honest. I made a mistake. The allegations I filed, they were false. I let my emotions and personal vendettas cloud my judgment. I am truly sorry to Mr. Palazzolo and to everyone affected by my actions." The courtroom erupted into whispers. Gasps, murmurs, and stunned silence filled the room. Gino leaned back in his chair, exhaling slowly. Justice, at least in this case, had found its clarity. The judge nodded solemnly. "This court recognizes Ms. Pineda's admission. While this case is now resolved, I urge all parties to reflect on the serious consequences of false accusations." Court dismissed. Outside the courtroom, reporters swarmed both Jasmine and Gino. Cameras flashed as Gino gave a short statement. "I am relieved that the truth has come out. I hope this serves as a lesson that false accusations have real consequences." Jasmine, on the other hand, avoided the cameras, tears streaming down her face as she was escorted to her car. The weight of her actions pressed heavily upon her, but in that moment, she vowed to rebuild her life with honesty and integrity. Social media exploded with reactions. Fans debated endlessly, some condemning Jasmine, others reflecting on the pressures of fame and the complexity of human emotions. Meanwhile, Gino's reputation slowly began to recover, though the shadow of the false accusation would linger for some time. Weeks later, Jasmine began therapy, determined to understand why she had allowed her emotions to dictate such a drastic course. She reached out to Gino privately, offering a sincere apology, which he accepted cautiously. While the past could not be undone, they both hoped to move forward with dignity and lessons learned. In the end, the story of Jasmine and Gino became a cautionary tale, not just for reality TV stars, but for anyone swept up in the whirlwind of emotion, fame, and impulsive decisions. The courtroom had delivered its verdict, but the true resolution lay in the personal growth and accountability that followed. And though the cameras had gone, the lesson lingered. Truth, though sometimes delayed, has a way of prevailing. However, the warm Florida evening air hung heavy with the scent of the ocean as Jasmine Pineda walked along the resort's wooden pathway, her heels clicking against the planks. Her face was a storm of emotions, anger, frustration, and deep vulnerability, while her long dark hair swayed dramatically in the salty breeze. Gino Palazzolo trailed behind her nervously, his trademark cap tilted low as though it could shield him from the uncomfortable conversation that had erupted just minutes before in their suite. This was the last resort, after all, a retreat where struggling couples came face to face with their most intimate problems, and Jasmine and Gino had just hit their breaking point. Their issue wasn't about finances, family drama, or cultural differences. It was something far more private, something both of them had been avoiding but couldn't escape any longer: trouble in the bedroom. Earlier that day, the couple had sat with the therapists, a circle of other couples around them. The facilitator asked Jasmine to open up about her frustrations, and, in typical Jasmine fashion, she didn't hold back. "Gino," she had said, her accent sharp with emotion, "I love you, I want you, but you don't show me the passion I need. You're so cold sometimes, like you're a robot. And in bed, it feels like I'm the only one fighting for intimacy." The room had gone silent. Gino's cheeks flushed bright red beneath his cap, his lips fumbling for words. "I'm not cold," he stammered. I get nervous. I'm not used to someone as intense as you. And I don't always know what you want from me." That exchange had cracked something open. Hours later, Jasmine stormed off after another round of arguing in their room, and that's how they ended up walking along the resort path, voices low but cutting like knives. "You think I came all the way here, leaving my family, leaving everything I know, to sleep next to a man who doesn't even touch me?" Jasmine spun around, her hands flying dramatically. "You think that's enough for me?" Gino swallowed hard. His instinct was always to defend himself, but tonight he tried something different. He took a slow breath. "Jasmine, it's not that I don't want to touch you. I do. But when you criticize me all the time, when you roll your eyes or tell me I'm not a real man, it kills my confidence. Then, in bed, I'm stuck in my own head. I'm scared I'll fail you." For the first time that night, Jasmine's fiery expression softened. She hadn't considered how much her sharp words cut him. She folded her arms and looked away, fighting the tears that pricked her eyes. "You think I don't get scared too? You think I don't feel rejected when you turn your back? I act angry, yes, but really, I feel invisible." The silence that followed was heavy, but it wasn't empty. It was filled with the weight of honesty. Gino stepped closer, cautiously, as though approaching a wild bird he didn't want to scare away. He reached out and touched her hand. To his relief, Jasmine didn't pull back. "Maybe we're both scared," he admitted quietly. "You're afraid I don't desire you, and I'm afraid I'm not enough for you. But Jasmine, I love you, and I want to try. I just don't always know how." Jasmine's eyes brimmed with tears, but this time, they weren't fueled by rage. She let out a shaky laugh. "Gino, you drive me crazy. You make me scream like a lunatic. But I do love you. I just need to feel you, not just hear it." The next morning, their therapy session took a different turn. The facilitator suggested something unusual: an intimacy workshop. The couples were guided through exercises, not physical, but emotional. They sat facing each other, knees touching, eyes locked, breathing in sync. At first, Jasmine smirked and Gino fidgeted, but soon, something shifted. In that quiet space, without arguments, without distractions, Jasmine saw the vulnerability in Gino's eyes. She saw not just a nervous man in a baseball cap, but someone who desperately wanted to connect. And Gino, for the first time, allowed himself to see Jasmine not as a force of criticism but as a woman yearning for affection, desperate to be reassured that she was still adored. Later that night, back in their suite, there were no fireworks, no explosive arguments. Instead, they sat on the edge of the bed, holding hands, talking softly about their fears and desires. Jasmine confessed how much she hated feeling unwanted. Gino admitted that sometimes he didn't know how to bridge the cultural and emotional gap between them. For hours, they talked, sometimes crying, sometimes laughing. And though it wasn't a magical fix to all their problems, it was the first step toward healing the intimate rift that had threatened to destroy them. As the night drew on, Jasmine curled against Gino's chest, listening to his heartbeat. "Don't hide from me anymore," she whispered. "I won't," Gino promised, stroking her hair. "Not in bed. Not in life. I'm all in." And for the first time in weeks, Jasmine closed her eyes with a sense of peace, knowing that maybe, just maybe, love and intimacy could coexist if they were both brave enough to keep trying. However, the sun hung low over Miami, casting long golden streaks across the Pineda family home. Jasmine Pineda had been looking forward to this weekend for weeks, a chance for both her family and Gino Palazzolo's family to finally meet and celebrate their engagement. Yet, the tension in the air was palpable, even before the first guest arrived. Jasmine paced around the living room, adjusting the table settings, biting her lip nervously. Gino was in the kitchen, meticulously arranging the appetizers, muttering to himself in Italian. It was clear that both of them were putting on a brave face, but the weight of family expectations hung heavy on their shoulders. "Babe, are you sure it's okay if I invite my cousins?" Jasmine asked hesitantly. "Last time, your aunt and uncle didn't really get along with my family." Gino paused, wiping his hands on a towel. "I know, Jasmine, but this is our day. We can't keep hiding from them. We need everyone to see that we're serious." His voice was firm, but there was a flicker of doubt in his eyes. Just then the doorbell rang. Jasmine's heart skipped a beat. Her mother, Rosa, had arrived, beaming as usual, carrying a basket of homemade empanadas. Behind her followed her younger brother, Luis, who looked suspiciously like he had already picked a fight in his mind. On the other side, Gino's extended family arrived in waves. His cousin Marco, a loud and boisterous man who carried himself like a general preparing for battle, and Aunt Lucia, who seemed to scrutinize everything with a hawk-like gaze. As soon as the two families met in the living room, the polite smiles barely held back undercurrents of tension. "Jasmine, you look beautiful," Gino's mother said warmly, hugging her daughter-in-law-to-be. But the warmth was short-lived. Rosa immediately began whispering to her children about Gino's family, pointing out differences in culture and expectations. Meanwhile, Marco, noticing Luis hovering near the snack table, approached with a teasing grin. "Ah, so you are the famous Luis I've heard about? The one who always gets into trouble." Luis bristled, puffing out his chest. "And you must be Marco, the guy who talks too much and never listens?" Gino's eyebrows knit together. "Guys, come on. Don't start." But it was too late. The conversation spiraled quickly into sarcastic remarks about family traditions and how things are done, with both sides defending their way of life. Jasmine tried desperately to intervene, placing herself between Luis and Marco, but her own nerves made her voice quiver. "Enough!" Gino's shout echoed across the living room. The room fell silent for a moment. Even Aunt Lucia, who prided herself on never raising her voice, looked shocked. Jasmine turned to him, her eyes wide. "Gino, please don't ruin this. Everyone is already tense. Just calm down." "I can't calm down, Jasmine," Gino snapped, running a hand through his hair. "Every time our families meet, it's a war zone. I don't want them to think I'm weak, but I also don't want to fight." Tears welled up in Jasmine's eyes. "I just wanted this to be special." A happy reunion where everyone gets along. Before the tension could explode further, Rosa stepped forward. Enough, she said, her voice firm but commanding. Gino, Jasmine, everyone look at each other. This is supposed to be about love, not proving who's right or wrong. There was a pause. The room seemed to hold its collective breath. Slowly, Gino lowered his hands, and Jasmine wiped her tears away, trying to smile. Just when it seemed the fight might be over, Marco leaned in toward Luis with a mischievous grin. So, you think your family is better than ours? Luis shot back. No, I just think some people need to learn respect. Gino groaned and buried his face in his hands. Why do we even do this? He muttered. Jasmine gently touched his arm. Because family matters. And because we care. But we need a plan. The plan came in the form of food. Gino's mother suggested a cooking competition. Each family would make a dish, and the couple would judge. It was a risky move, but it worked. The kitchen became a battlefield, but one filled with laughter, teasing, and the occasional accidental flower fight. Slowly, the families began to bond. Not perfectly, but in their own chaotic, imperfect way. By the end of the evening, both families were sitting together, a little tired, a little messy, but smiling. Jasmine looked around at the scene. Marco laughing at Luis' failed attempt to flip a pancake, Rosa secretly complimenting Gino's pasta, and Gino and Jasmine holding hands tightly in the middle of it all. See, Jasmine whispered to Gino. Family isn't about avoiding fights. It's about finding a way through them. Gino smiled, finally relaxed. Yeah, I guess this is what happily ever after looks like, messy as it is. And for the first time that day, the two families truly celebrated, not just an engagement, but the chaotic, unpredictable, and ultimately loving bond that family can create, even in the middle of a fight. However, the sun had barely risen over Miami, casting a soft glow through the curtains of Jasmine and Gino's small, yet stylish apartment. Outside, the city buzzed with life, but inside, tension thickened the air like a storm waiting to break. Jasmine sat on the edge of the couch, scrolling through her phone with a frown, while Gino paced back and forth, his hands trembling with a mix of frustration and something darker, hurt. Gino, can you please just sit for a second? Jasmine finally snapped, her voice sharp but tinged with exhaustion. We can't keep doing this, running in circles, yelling at each other like enemies. Gino stopped mid-step, his jaw tight. Enemies, he repeated, almost mocking, though his eyes glistened with a raw vulnerability. Jasmine, don't you get it? I feel like I'm losing you every time you dismiss me, or question my intentions. Jasmine threw her phone onto the coffee table. Dismiss you? Are you serious right now? Gino, I have my own life, my own friends, my own career. You act like me having a life outside you is a betrayal. Outside me? Gino's voice cracked. It's not just that. It's the lies, Jasmine. The secrets. I can't breathe without feeling like there's something you're hiding from me. Jasmine's hands trembled as she stood. I don't lie to you. But every time I tell you something, you act like I'm admitting to a crime. Do you even trust me anymore? There was a long, heavy silence. The only sound in the room was the faint hum of traffic outside and the occasional squeak of Gino's pacing. Both of them were hurt, both of them exhausted, yet neither willing to fully surrender. Finally, Gino stopped and stared at her, the storm in his eyes giving way to a flicker of desperation. I do trust you. I don't know how to deal with this constant fight. It's like we're stuck in a loop. One day, everything's fine, and the next, I can't even look at you without feeling like I'm about to lose you forever. Jasmine's lips quivered. Gino, maybe we are stuck in a loop. Maybe we don't even know how to communicate anymore. Every argument just spirals into this. She gestured at the tension filling the room. And I don't want to keep fighting. I love you, but I'm tired of being scared of my own home. Gino slumped onto the couch beside her, the fight draining out of him as quickly as it had flared. He buried his face in his hands. I don't want to scare you. I don't want to lose us. Every time we fight like this, I feel like a part of me dies. Jasmine reached out slowly, placing a trembling hand on his shoulder. Then don't. Don't let us die in these fights. We need to talk, really talk, not yell, not blame. Just talk. Gino looked up, his eyes red but filled with a mix of relief and love. I want that too, Jasmine. I want us to be better. For real this time. For a few moments, the apartment was quiet except for the sound of their breathing and the distant hum of the city. Then Jasmine leaned into Gino, resting her head on his shoulder. We can get through this. But we have to promise to listen, Gino. Truly listen, even when it hurts. I promise, Gino whispered, wrapping an arm around her. But just as the tension seemed to fade, Jasmine pulled back slightly, her eyes narrowing with sudden intensity. But you also have to stop bottling everything inside. You explode so easily, and it's terrifying sometimes. I can't live like I'm walking on eggshells. Gino groaned, throwing his head back. And you think I like it? Do you have any idea how it feels when I'm screaming inside, and I can't even tell you what's wrong because I know it'll just turn into a fight like this? Jasmine bit her lip, tears forming. Then tell me, Gino. Stop hiding, stop assuming I'll attack you. We're supposed to be a team. I know, he muttered, voice softer now. I know. I don't know how to be calm sometimes when everything feels like it's falling apart. They sat in silence again, the weight of their emotions pressing down on them. But in that silence, something shifted. Not a solution, not an answer, but a fragile thread of understanding. Jasmine reached out and intertwined her fingers with Gino's. We're not perfect. We fight, we get angry, we hurt each other. But if we keep fighting like this without ever trying to understand, then maybe we really will lose each other. Gino squeezed her hand tightly, his voice raw but determined. I don't want to lose you. Not ever. And maybe we need help. Someone to guide us. Because I can't do this alone, Jasmine. I can't. She nodded, a tear sliding down her cheek. Then we do it together. Therapy, communication, everything. We fight because we love, but we also have to fight smart, not just angry. For the first time in what felt like weeks, the room seemed lighter. The storm hadn't passed completely, but it had calmed enough for them to see each other clearly again. They weren't perfect. Their fights were messy, raw, and sometimes terrifying, but maybe, just maybe, they could learn to navigate them without losing the love that kept them tied together in the first place. As the morning light spilled into the apartment, Gino rested his forehead against Jasmine's. We're going to be okay, aren't we? Jasmine smiled faintly, wiping her tears. Yeah, we'll be okay. As long as we remember why we're fighting in the first place, and it's not to hurt each other. And in that fragile, tentative peace, they held on to each other, both knowing that the real challenge wasn't the fight itself, it was learning to grow through it together. Hello, lovely viewers. Welcome to my channel. I am Amelia. Hope your day is so well. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe the channel.